aspect of life. Under that sort of appearance, we're all interconnected. We all feel suffering. We all feel pain. We like happiness, and we all breathe the same air. We're part of the same environment. We're part of the same ecosystem. We're all connected in so many different ways. And if you look at anything that you can experience in your life, just coming into this room, it depends on so many factors that are interconnected. You know, like this piece of paper. It comes from the trees come from forests, the forests come from the sun and the earth. There are so many connections. So for a Buddhist, we're all interconnected. So to not help or not try to reach out to other beings is kind of delusional. So that's my answer. I'm not saying other people have to. I'm saying for me, I feel it's natural to connect with other people and do what I can. And if you get tired, that's just part of life. But essentially, we're here for life beyond ourselves.
I have a similar perspective for different reasons. From a rational egoist notion, you should try and maximize all the benefits for yourself, pure and simple. Now, here's the thing. If you're a rational egoist and you enjoy being in a safe and productive environment, then you should promote the happiness of others, because that increases the safety of the environment and increases the productivity of those around you. The amount of time you spend making other people happy should be relative to your time management. So how much time you spend on yourself, how much time you spend trying to improve the environment, just like how much time do you spend cleaning your room. Obviously, you don't need to do it all the time, you don't need to do it to death, but doing it occasionally can be helpful. So in terms of altruism, there are very rational aspects to why you would be altruistic. And in terms of how much you should do, that's really a matter of your schedule.
At the heart of the universe is a God who is Father, Son, and Spirit. And they've always lived together in this relationship of love. So they've always loved each other. And so that means that as Christians think about the universe, we'd say that there is this deep core principle of love. And you see that at work when Jesus dies for his enemies. And so what it means is that it's more than a strategy. It's more than a nice idea. It's actually woven into the fabric of the whole universe, because God is this loving, relational God. Yeah.
And to go to the opposite side of the scale of happiness, like depression in a way would be the opposite of happiness. Each of you seem to have like a foolproof system or things to do or to think to get happy. Why do we have so many people today that get depression still?
So if there are such good strategies for attaining happiness, why is depression so rampant? Yep, okay.
Depression is one of those things that's both widespread in society and seems to know no bounds. Every demographic has elements that do suffer it. Every single belief system, every lack of belief system, every age, every culture. The real problem with depression is that it's not inherently rational. It's not a failing of your ability to comprehend the world. It's a series of things. It's an unbalance. It's a collection of causes that is not well understood. 1 in 4 people have depression, and it seems to be going up over the sort of time period, but that could just be an effect of how many times we can actually measure it. Generally, the real problem is not one of belief systems at all, because there are no belief systems that can change something that... It's like saying, why do people get mentally ill in any other way, even though their belief system seems perfectly logical. Mental illness doesn't really work that way. It's not a matter of having a false belief or a dodgy belief that just turns into some sort of madness. It's a profound effect that is beyond mere understanding.
I think you put it perfectly.
I don't know whether this is going to answer the question properly, because Well, some of the backup material I had here was kind of daily exercises that can help you, to live a better life. And the sort of exercises that I've got here are all about, I suppose, connecting and being related beyond yourself. And I think that is part of the, is one of the ingredients. I think it's a very important ingredient to living life well. So, for example, generosity. You can't be fully generous if it's just you. It's got to be generous to another. Being forgiving is forgiving to another person. Feeling gratitude. You can't, full gratitude is being grateful to somebody else. These are things that connect you to other people. And I'm not an expert in depression or, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but my very sort of layman's guess is that people who are depressed are maybe frustrated with not getting something that they were looking for, and they were disappointed in a very big way, disappointed and didn't get something. So I think the cause of that could have been that they were looking for something they didn't get, and at the same time, their concern is not with other people. It's more for something that they missed or didn't get, or they're looking for meaning. And to me, meaning in life comes down to something beyond yourself. So if you have meaning which connects you with other people through gratitude, generosity, forgiveness, service, kindness, compassion, these to me are kind of safety tools to avoid the sort of syndrome that we call depression. I know it's not a full answer because I'm not an expert, but to me, those are some of the things you can do.
Can I add something? Just in terms of the studies, I should also point out that the only thing that so far has been actually proven to help depression is physical exercise. So if anyone around you has depression in any way or form, just recommend that. It's been more effective than medication we have, and there is a particular type of meditation which also sometimes helps, but it's not as reliable as just exercise.
I was chatting with a psychiatrist at church yesterday, and his take on things like depression are, at some level, some kinds of depression have nothing at all to do with happiness or unhappiness. It's what we're dealing with is chemistry, and that's generally called endogenous depression. It's more to do with what's going on in your chemistry. And I think to load someone up with a question of happiness at that point, what they actually need is a doctor. The other type of depression isn't so much about chemistry as what is happening to you in life. And I think that there are a whole bunch of things that can help there. So exercise is actually, a really helpful thing. Making sense of life, which is one of the things that all three of what we're trying to do, can be one of those things because it actually adds a degree of hope. So I think we would all say at some point that to the person who is going through a terribly bad time, a hard time, we would all probably, I think, want to offer hope. But that type of depression is very different to a medical chemistry depression.
Many apologies to those with your hands still up. We will have time for supper and mingling, so by all means come and nab someone. But just to conclude, I've actually primed our panellists to kind of have a couple of minutes sort of goodbye, sort of, recommendation or whatever, however they want to sum up their sort of contribution tonight. So we'll go in the same order, I think. So start with you, Greg.
Yeah, I think to finish, probably what I'll say will come as no surprise to you, and that is, I believe that at the heart of the universe, in the fabric of the universe, is a relational God. Father, Son, and Spirit, and that God made us for a relationship with Him. And happiness ultimately is a byproduct of that. We can experience happiness in fleeting ways through a whole bunch of the things that God has given us as part of His creation, whether it's bonsai or watches or grand designs or whatever it happens to be. But I think each of those things, because they are gifts from the God who made us, what they do is they give us a shadow. They give us a hunch that this is good, but there's something more. I think what those things are designed to do is point us to that God who made us and who is just kind of calling and saying, come to me. I'm your father, I'm your parent, and I love you so deeply that I'm going to send my son to call you back and to pay for all of the things you've done to hurt me. That is far more important than happiness. But I think happiness is found when you have that relationship. That's what I want to leave you with.
I think there are two things that I can think of right now that are innately human. One is a desire for happiness. That seems pretty innate. And the other is a general curiosity, an inquisitiveness, a desire to find out the why, how, where, when. Just a curiosity that pervades an entire life. And I would just like to leave you with, go for it in terms of that particular human trait. If you have any belief about anything, anywhere, anyhow, just try and find out as much about it as possible. And personally, that's one of the things that's given me the most happiness in my whole life.
I think I'll just summarise where I started. That is that for me, it comes down to two things. An internal technique that I use, which is to cultivate my mind. You could call it prayer, you could call it reflection, you could call it quiet time. I think we all need a bit of quiet time in some form on a regular basis in this very busy life. But for me it's meditation, and for that it helps me to cultivate my mind, calm it down, and helps me manage when things go wrong in life. The second part of it is the connecting with other people, contributing, serving, being compassionate or generous, volunteering in the community. And to me, that's kind of, for me, it's the path to a meaningful life or a purposeful life. For me, I can't really get a purpose for life if it's just me. I need to connect with others and contribute and relate to others. So that to me is my purpose in life, and so that's the second part of my formula for living. Thank you.
Well, can I thank our panellists, Greg, Joseph and Brian, and I think particularly for Joseph and Brian, thank you so much for coming along to a Credo event and contributing in such a positive, meaningful way.
I've enjoyed it.
Great. In the Bible it says that God gave us wine to gladden our hearts, and so as a small token of our appreciation, we'd like you to enjoy, in moderation, some wine. Sorry, it's such a dodgy package. Thanks, Paul. And
I'll put it in my pocket.